Uh, final season lets us explore themes that we've waited to explore the entire run. We ask questions like, what happens when you die, when you really die? Where do you go? What does it feel like? What's there to be afraid of? What's there to be hopeful for? We have characters who, over the course of the season, will find their way back to each other, will heal relationships, will lose each other, and everything has this beautiful sense of finality to it. So everything matters in a way that it can only matter when you are finally bringing a show to a close.
There's been talk that this season will be big for Bonnie. Her story, she'll get a kind of big, meaty story. Is there anything you can tease about that, or kind of tell us about what direction her character is going to go? She had a hard last season.
Yeah, no, my God. I mean, the last season ended so painfully for her. She finally got, absolved of her destiny to take over for the Hunter and Reina Cruz, and only to lose the two men that are the most important to her in her life. And this is, by the way, a young woman who's already lost her family, her grandmother, her best friend, whose life is, hanging in one balance because Bonnie's life hangs in another. I mean, she's the character has been through so much. So, really, I think that what I want Bonnie to be able to get back to is that feeling of true, pure love in rescuing these men that she loves so much. And the question is, how long will that take, and what will she have to go through to get it done?
If the originals get renewed for next season, this season, the end of the Diaries, where there could still be some character crossover?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, my hope, and this is my hope, it's not something I've discussed with the network or anything, I would really like to see the originals continue on and to allow these characters that survived this season of the Vampire Diaries to find their way into that world here and there. Not to take over the show, not to change the show, but to be celebrated within the context of that show.
Tell us a little bit about the decision to have Bonnie and Enzo in a romantic relationship. What do you think they see in each other that makes that relationship so smooth?
Yeah, I will tell you, on a very basic, fundamental level, they had a scene at the Salvatore house, which was one of their first scenes together, and I just loved their sparkle so much that I thought, okay, is this something that we could explore? And then in exploring both their characters, I realized, Bonnie's someone who, people have wanted Bonnie and Damon together for so long. And I always said, there's no way Bonnie would ever get with Damon. For years I said this, because Damon represents all that is wrong about the things that have happened in her life. And as a vampire, he represents everything that she would never want. But then within that, they built this really beautiful friendship born out of circumstance, where suddenly Bonnie found herself shifting and changing her point of view, her perspective on this vampire, this supernatural being, and found herself in her own way loving him. And so to me, her friendship with Damon opened her heart to look at somebody like Enzo, who probably 3 seasons ago she would have been like, yeah, whatever, buddy, peace out, like, get away from me. But now can see in him a very, very deep and powerful, soulful man who just wants so much to have loyalty and love and the power of a relationship that will not quit, and Bonnie is one of the most loyal and beautiful people on the show and would never turn her back on someone she loved. And Enzo has had nothing but backs turned on him. So it really makes perfect sense when you really break it down, but it really was born out of that really great scene where the two of them just kind of had a nice little sparkle.
So going into the final season, are we likely to see maybe a new villain, or is it going to be more Damon and Enzo?
Well, Damon and Enzo are the current, I would call them the emissaries of our newest villain. We haven't met, we labeled her, I'll say her, in the video. We haven't met her. We don't know what she is. We don't know why she is. We don't know why she looks like, Gollum. There's a lot of questions surrounding this mystery villain, how she has control of these two men who are so fierce, and what it is that she's having them do and why she's having them do it. So all of that stuff, we dive right in. We just start unraveling and peeling back layers of the onion to try to tell you guys, the audience, what it is that we're dealing with. And as always with us, there's always layers of villains, so she's the first but not the last of the season.
Are there plans to try to bring back characters that we haven't seen in a while? Because this is the final season in case you have
Yeah. So somebody asked me that over there, and I said I would not be me, and the show would not be the Vampire Diaries if we were not going to revisit some old favorites. And I know, from like a pure critical analysis point of view, it might be the cheesiest thing ever, and I don't care, because these are people that we have loved for 7 years, that we lost, people that left the show, people that died, on the show, and there's absolutely no reason why we shouldn't be able to figure out a way to at least say hello to all of them along the way. Now, there's a long list of them, so I can't promise we'll get to everybody, but certainly we have plans to see Michael Trevino and Stephen McQueen. Obviously, my end game plan is to see Elena and Nina Dobrev. So just even starting there, then I made the joke with, like, how can we bring Uncle Mason back? Because that's my secret fantasy. But that one might be a little tough. I might have to let that one go.
Bringing back old characters, there are also some new characters coming up. Research and Return of Nanny. What can you kind of
Yeah, we've got
about
great.
that?
Okay, so you mentioned the nanny, and that's the one I'm most excited to talk about, because that's Kristen Gutowski, who just came off playing Katie in Containment, and she's so wonderful. And we actually wrote the part with her in mind, and so everything about it really embodies her and her spirit as an actress. So very excited about that. She's we call her the hot nanny, much to the chagrin of Caroline. Alaric's got a hot nanny. And then we've got Demetrius Bridges, who also was in Containment playing the role of Xander. Just cast him in the role of Dorian, who is one of Alaric's interns. And Alaric is now at the Armory working to figure out what makes this place tick, what all is contained within its walls. And so he's got a gaggle of interns helping him out and getting themselves involved in some deep supernatural trouble. And so Demetrius will be one of those characters. And then Natalie Kelly is an actress that we've just cast to play the character of Sybil, who is someone who's been around quite some time and has been mistreated and not handled very well. So she's going to enter our team's life and stir up some shit. So we've got a great group already, and there'll still be more characters along the way.